We give thanks to Almighty Allah. He is the one that is having the power. He gives the power to whom he wish, and he denies whom he wish. He is in existence when all of us today are opportunity to exist, and Allah will continue to exist when all of us here are going to cease and all from existence. We ask him to ease our judgment on the day of accountability. Today's khutbah is an extension of last week's khutbah. Last week discusses the issue of those who are aspirants, and by extension, the Electoral Commission. Today we are discussing we who are to vote, and discussing the Islamic perspective of voting itself. Democracy with no missing of words is contrary to the teaching of Islam. Cut it anywhere. It is a Jewish system of governance which has today dominated the whole world. It is another new colonialism. What the Muslim Ummah are confronted with. Unfortunately, because of their weak iman, there is no anything tack of high level of intelligence to think how to go out of this mess that we are in. And that Allah is going to ask all of us. But meanwhile, Islam has solution to all problems. There is nothing that will happen on earth. In fact, in the next billion years, if the world will exist, Islam is having solution to it. Calling the system not to be Islamic did not make a Muslim to relax at home and say, no, it's not my problem. It is your problem. Because Islam has called several times in the Quran for you to take the lesser evil. Anytime you are confronted with evils, and there is no way you must do one of the two, then you take the lesser evil. You are doing Islam. And that is exactly what is happening to the Ummah today. There is no excuse for anybody not to participate in the democratic system of governance that today is operating in this country and elsewhere in the globe. Long as your own is not established, you don't open your eyes and allow those who are bad, in fact more worse, to govern you. That's why I said, even if you are to be in America, the custodian of democracy, and you are opportunity to have your peace is there, you don't fold your arms. Even if the leaders, all of them are kuffar, you select a lesser kafir, a more simple kafir than a more difficult kafir. You are allowing a more difficult kafir to govern, contributed negatively, and you are going to be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if you are in America. Talk less of your motherland, where you have a say. Your vote must count, and it must count positively. Don't put it anywhere you feel. No. You must make sure that the vote actually, that vote counts based on the teaching of Islam. You need not to suffer yourself in a number of campaigns. Locally, it is also 18 and above that are to vote, which means already you are matured and your file has been opened. Evil is documented for you and against you, while the goodness is documented for you. And your card too must have a place, whether there or here, there is no doubt about that. To the issue I've discussed, that in the Sharia, leaders are to be selected, not them coming out to campaign. But where things are rowdy, where things are so bad, like the one we have in Nigeria, whosoever feels he can champion the cause of reformation must not sit back. He must come out to put before the generality of the Ummah that he wants to render a service. And this is not far from the history of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam in the Quran. The situation during Yusuf was so terrible, that as good as Yusuf, a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alayhi salatu wasalam, he was jailed innocently. And Allah tempted them with hunger and insecurity because of poverty. and their king dreamed, and Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam interpreted the dream. There they realized the position of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And the king said loudly in his cabinet, and the king said, bring him to me, bring Yusuf to me from the jail, from prison. I will approve him exclusively for myself. He's going to be my first advisor as far as the leadership of this country is concerned. And we spoke. When he spoke to them, Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, when he see the corruption all over, Yusuf said, indeed, you are today established. That is, the king is saying to Yusuf, you are established. Your position is known to all of us. You are trustworthy. You are an ideal person. You are highly responsible. You are trusted by all. That is the king's recommendation on Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. Now they allowed Yusuf to make a comment. Look at what he said. He said, appoint me over the store of stuff. Make me to be in charge of your materials, your wealth. Indeed, I will be a knowing guardian. I will guide all your materials. All your valuables should be entrusted in my hand. I will make sure your budget is being implemented. I will make sure nobody can to exercise any kind of corruption in my ministry. Because they trusted Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, he asked for the position, and they all agreed. And Yusuf became the Minister of Finance. And for those of us who have read much about him, Allah blessed Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam with administration. The entire kingdom of the king became peaceful because there is food and there is security. Any nation that is lacking food, then that nation is going to have insecurity. And there is no amount of security men that can curtail the insecurity. You must provide the basic need, the basic necessity, especially food for the ummah, or else there will be insecurity. In the hand of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, there was food security, and by extension, there is security. Now here to all of us who are entitled to vote and you have on our card, make sure you select somebody whom you know you can defend his integrity before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as being the best. Not that he's a wali, or that person is not having mistakes, or that person may not have one mistake or another, but be sure within you that among those who are competing, based on what I know, this is the best out of them. Even if all of them are criminals, you select the most small criminal among them. Don't criminalize us by selecting the worst criminal. By doing that, you have implicated the whole nation in criminality, and Allah is going to ask you of the number of Nigerians whom have actually been affected negatively. So the issue is not a simple one. You don't need to be confused by whosoever. You don't need to be confused by campaign. You need to satisfy your conscience based on Islamic teaching. And that's why I said, even if you are in the United States, the custodian of democracy, and you are lucky to have opportunity of voting, and all of them are kuffar, select the list of kufr, so that the casualty of injustice will be minimized by the person you have selected. So it means there is no room for you to sleep and say, no, it's not my concern. Senators, House of Rep, chairman of local governments, head of state, governor, whosoever, president, you must check and cross-check. And Allah will guide you to see who is the best. In some, you don't need to crack your brain, you can see it very clearly. You don't need to suffer yourself. Based on record, you can see it clearly. Nigerian leaders' records are opened. How many times you see them with the EFCC? Going to the court, not defending themselves, satisfying every faction of segment of the leadership, and then they are released. more you can see in their states, there is no development. The whole wells have been consumed. So it's not a difficult task for you to check and to know. And especially for presidents, that is very glaring. Don't need to bother yourself. And if you have been tempted to collect money, some scholars are giving the verdicts, as I've said in the House of Action. I don't know whether the sources is. You consume the wealth and you select whom you like. I think it's a good manner. It's a good understanding. Because originally the wealth is your own. You take it and you do the right thing. Nobody will check you while you are voting. Nobody will force you to go to vote. You campaign for whom you are convinced of and you can defend. So I don't think Muslims should go into violence, into crisis, into killings, into suffering, into so many things. Things have been decided by the teaching of your deen, except if you refuse and reject it. Based on this, we should not kill one another. We should not fight one another. We should not be violent in our nature. We should show good example to others. We should not even hate those who belong to other parties or individuals. I believe Muslims will concentrate on individuals better than parties. Security personnel should be careful of being corrupt in the process of discharging their responsibility. Youth should not be allowed to be used. Muslims must always revisit the concept of democracy. It is their own, not ours, but we must do it so as to reduce the damages. Lastly, we must engage in a number of supplication, dua, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see us through by making it firm the person who is the best. Even if they are worst, then it should be among those who are worst, the least worst among them should be our leader. We ask him to accept our prayers.